The night sky was burning. It started with a flash that blinded half the city, and then the air itself began to scream. People ran, pointing to the sky, where something was falling, huge, bright, and fast. For a few seconds, it looked like a shooting star, but when it broke apart and the ground shook like thunder, everyone knew it was not from Earth. Miles away, in a small town outside Chicago, a soldier named Daniel Reeves was watching the news on his cracked TV screen. Static covered the broadcast, but one word kept repeating: invasion. He stared at the screen, jaw tight. He had seen war before, but nothing like this. The reporters said creatures had landed in multiple cities. No one knew where they came from. Some said Mars, others said another dimension. All anyone knew was, they weren't friendly. Within hours, the world went dark. Satellites stopped working, cities lost power, and governments lost control. The first ships hovered silently above New York, Beijing, London, and Moscow. They didn't fire at first. They just waited, watching. Humanity tried to make contact, but there was no answer. Then, one morning they attacked. Daniel watched from his front porch as the horizon turned red. He could hear explosions miles away, like drums echoing across the earth. The smell of burning metal mixed with smoke and fear. He grabbed his old army bag and loaded his pistol, though deep down he knew bullets wouldn't stop what was coming. A strange hum filled the air. He looked up. A ship, massive and silent, passed overhead. It was dark, shaped like a blade cutting through clouds. Light shimmered along its surface like liquid silver. Daniel felt his skin crawl. It wasn't just fear, it was something deeper, primal, like his instincts screaming at him to run. In the nearby forest, the ship landed. The ground trembled, trees fell, and animals fled. Daniel followed the noise, staying low, moving through shadows. When he reached the clearing, he saw them for the first time. They weren't tall, not like in movies. They were lean, with gray skin that reflected light like glass. Their eyes glowed faint blue, and their movements were too smooth, too precise. They set up strange machines that hissed and pulsed with energy. One of them raised a hand, and a beam of light cut through a tree like butter. Daniel's heart raced. They were preparing something big. He pulled out his old binoculars and zoomed in. He could see one of them holding a small round device. It projected a map. Earth. Red dots spread across continents. It wasn't random. It was a plan. Then one of them turned its head sharply. Daniel froze. The creature's eyes glowed brighter, scanning the trees. For a second, Daniel thought it could see him through the dark. But then, the sound of a helicopter roared in the distance. The aliens looked up. The ship opened like a flower, and blue energy charged at its center. The helicopter fired missiles. The ship fired back. The blast hit like an earthquake, shaking everything. Daniel was thrown to the ground, dirt in his mouth, ears ringing. When he looked up again, the helicopter was gone, just dust and fire. The aliens stood unharmed, their armor glowing faintly as if mocking human weapons. Daniel crawled back, heart pounding. Humanity had no chance. Not like this. Not with guns and metal. But then, he saw something. When one of the aliens stepped over a fallen tree, its foot hit a piece of jagged rebar. It screamed, a high-pitched sound full of pain. Its leg bled black liquid that smoked when it touched the ground. It stumbled, fell, and the others rushed to it. Daniel's eyes widened. They could be hurt. They could bleed. That one detail changed everything. He ran back to his truck and started the engine, tires spitting mud. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to reach someone who would listen. The radio crackled to life for the first time in hours. A voice came through, broken but clear. "This is Resistance Command. Any survivors, report to Grid 17. We fight back." Daniel gripped the wheel. Fight back. As he drove through the burning night, he saw others. People carrying children, soldiers helping the wounded, strangers pulling each other from rubble. Fear filled the world, but in their eyes, he saw something else too. Not surrender. Not yet. Because when humans are pushed into a corner, when everything is taken from them, something wakes up inside, a fire that no invader can understand. And somewhere deep beneath the ground, hidden from alien eyes, something ancient and powerful was stirring. Humanity's last secret. The war had begun. But fear was about to change sides. Smoke still covered the sky when Daniel drove through the broken highway. The sun was gone behind a wall of black clouds, and the world looked like it was ending. Fires burned on both sides of the road, cars were turned over, and the air smelled of ash and metal. Every few miles, he passed small groups of people walking, their faces covered in dust and fear. He slowed down when he saw a family near an old gas station, a man, a woman, and a boy no older than 10. The man was waving frantically. Daniel stopped. "Please," the man said. "They're coming." Daniel didn't ask who they were. He could already hear it, a distant humming, that strange alien sound that shook the ground. "Get in," he said. The family climbed in quickly. The boy clutched a small robot toy, broken and covered in dirt. As Daniel drove, the humming grew louder. A light appeared behind them, glowing blue through the smoke. "Hold on," Daniel said, pressing the pedal down. The truck jumped forward, tires screaming. Behind them, the alien craft flew low, scanning the ground. A blue beam swept over the road, melting everything it touched. Daniel swerved hard, avoiding the light by inches. The woman screamed, covering her son's head. Come on, Daniel whispered, pushing the engine to its limit. He turned sharply into a tunnel under an old bridge. The beam passed over the entrance but didn't reach inside. The light faded, and the humming moved away. For a few seconds, everything went quiet except the sound of their breathing. The man looked at Daniel. "You're military." "Used to be," Daniel said. "You know what's happening out there?" Daniel shook his head. "They came fast. They hit every major city. But there's a resistance signal. They're regrouping somewhere near Grid 17. "Then we go there," the man said quickly. Daniel nodded. "If it's still standing." They drove for hours. Roads disappeared under fallen buildings. Sometimes they had to move rubble or push dead cars aside. The boy stayed quiet the whole time, staring out the window as if trying to understand what had happened to his world. When the night came again, they reached the outskirts of an abandoned military base. A torn flag flapped in the wind. Daniel killed the lights and stepped out with his pistol ready. The base was silent. Too silent. He motioned for the others to stay in the truck and moved slowly toward the main gate. There were bodies on the ground, both human and alien. Some burned, some frozen like statues. He stepped over them carefully. Then, from the shadows, a voice whispered, "Hands up!" Daniel froze. Flashlights turned on him. Soldiers stepped out, weapons raised. One of them wore a red armband with the word "resist" scratched into it. "I'm friendly," Daniel said, lowering his gun. "Got survivors in the truck." The soldier, a woman with sharp eyes and dust on her face, signaled to others. "Bring them in." Minutes later, Daniel and the family were inside a bunker beneath the base. Maps covered the walls. Radios crackled with broken voices. There were maybe 30 people, soldiers, scientists, and a few civilians. The woman introduced herself as Captain Mira Hayes. "You picked a good time to show up," she said. "We're gathering what's left of the fight." Daniel glanced at the map. Red dots blinked across it, the same as he saw in the alien device. "They're everywhere," he said. Mira nodded. "Yeah, but we found something. Their energy fields, whatever shields they use, they're not perfect. They weaken when exposed to high-frequency sound. We've tested it on a small drone. It shut down for 3 seconds." 3 seconds, Daniel said. "That's enough to hit them." "That's what we're hoping," she said. "We're building a signal amplifier. Problem is, we need a power source big enough to run it." Daniel looked around. "You have one." "Not here," Mira said. "But there's an old reactor north of here, under the hills. We lost contact with the team we sent. Daniel's eyes hardened. Then I'll go. Mira studied him for a moment. You sure? I saw one of them bleed, Daniel said quietly. That means they can die. We just need to learn how. Mira nodded. Then you're coming with me. We leave at dawn. The boy tugged at Daniel's sleeve. Mister, will they come here? Daniel looked at him, then at the ceiling as distant thunder rolled again. They already have, he said softly. But this time, we'll be ready. That night, Daniel sat near the bunker entrance, staring at the stars, or what was left of them. The sky flickered with faint blue lights where alien ships moved like ghosts. He thought about everything Earth had lost, and everything it still had left to fight for. Somewhere far above, on one of the alien ships, a figure watched Earth through a glass screen. It had seen thousands of worlds fall, millions of species vanish. But something about this planet was different. It turned to another alien and spoke in a voice like metal scraping on stone. They resist. Even when logic says they should not. The second alien replied coldly, then we will erase them faster. The first one looked back at the screen, where humans moved through ruins and fire, still fighting. No, it said slowly. Not faster. Carefully. They are learning. Below, Daniel closed his eyes, unaware that the war he thought was beginning was only a small part of something far bigger. The next morning, the sky was a strange color, half red, half gray, as if the sun was trying to break through smoke that would never fade. Daniel stood beside the truck, checking his gear. Captain Mira walked up, wearing her vest and carrying a rifle. You ready? She asked. As I'll ever be, Daniel replied. Behind them, a few soldiers prepared supplies. The bunker door opened, and the man Daniel had rescued, the boy's father, stepped out. Take this, he said, handing Daniel a small device. It's a signal jammer. Might give you a few minutes if they track you. Daniel nodded. Keep your family safe. Mira gave the order, and they moved out, 3 trucks loaded with people, weapons, and hope that felt too small for the size of the war. The road north was broken and silent. Birds were gone, animals gone. Only wind moved through the dead trees. After 2 hours, they reached the hills. The reactor facility was supposed to be underground, hidden under tons of rock. But from the distance, Daniel could already tell something was wrong. The entrance gate was half buried under rubble, and smoke rose from holes in the ground. They stopped the trucks. Mira looked through binoculars. No movement, she said. Too quiet, Daniel answered. They approached carefully. The air was thick with dust and that strange metallic smell that followed every alien attack. Daniel's boots crunched over debris. He saw burnt uniforms, human soldiers. Someone fought here, he said softly. Then maybe someone's still alive, Mira said. They moved deeper. Inside the ruins, the hallways were dark, lights flickering weakly. Every sound echoed like a whisper from ghosts. They found scorch marks on the walls, energy weapon impacts. Split up, Mira ordered. Check every corridor. If anyone's alive, bring them back. Daniel nodded and moved down a narrow hallway alone. Pipes dripped above his head, and water ran along the floor. The air was cold. He could hear something faint, a mechanical hum, somewhere below. The reactor was still running. He followed the sound until he reached a metal door. It was bent inward, as if something had punched through it. He stepped inside and froze. 3 alien drones floated in the air, scanning the room. They were small, round, glowing, fast. Daniel ducked behind a console, holding his breath. One drone turned toward him, its blue light sweeping the area. He reached slowly for his pistol. His hand shook. He waited until the light passed over his shoulder, then fired. The shot hit the drone dead center. It exploded in sparks. The others screamed, a high-pitched sound, and fired beams of blue light. Daniel dove behind the console as metal melted around him. He rolled out and fired again, one shot, then another. The second drone dropped, smoking. The third charged toward him, spinning fast. Daniel kicked over a table, caught the falling drone, and smashed it against the wall. It shattered, spilling black liquid that hissed on contact with air. He stood breathing hard, ears ringing, and looked at the mess. "Still learning," he muttered. Then he heard a cough behind him. Daniel turned sharply, gun raised. From behind a pile of debris, a man crawled out, wearing a tattered lab coat. His face was pale, eyes sunken. "Don't shoot," the man gasped. "I'm human." Daniel lowered the gun and helped him up. "What happened here?" "They found us," the scientist said weakly. "We were trying to restart the reactor. But they came. They didn't kill everyone, they took some." "Where?" "I don't know. Into the tunnels. They're doing something down there. Studying us." Daniel helped the man to his feet. "Can the reactor still run?" "Yes," he said, pointing to the control panel. "But it needs manual activation inside the core chamber." Myra's voice came through the radio. "Daniel, report. I found a survivor. Reactor's functional. But we have company." "Copy that. We're securing the upper floor. Finish fast. We've got movement outside." Daniel looked at the scientist. "You can start it." The man nodded. "If I get there alive. Then let's make sure you do." They moved toward the reactor core, a deep, circular room filled with blue light. The energy hummed like a heartbeat. The scientist began working on the controls. "Once I activate this, it'll send enough power for your signal device. But we'll be visible." Daniel nodded grimly. "Do it." The man pressed a button. Lights came to life. The hum grew louder. The whole room vibrated. Above ground, Mira and her team heard it. "That's it," she said. "They did it." But in the sky, a shadow moved. The aliens had heard it too. A ship descended fast, blue lights glowing across its hull. "Contact!" shouted one of the soldiers. "They're here." Mira aimed her rifle. "Hold your ground." Inside, Daniel heard the explosions above. He turned to the scientist. "How long?" 30 seconds. The door burst open. 2 alien soldiers stepped in, weapons glowing. Daniel fired first. One went down, the other fired back, hitting the control panel. Sparks flew. The scientist screamed as energy arced through the wires. Daniel grabbed him and pulled him away. The reactor roared louder, unstable now, blue light flashing wildly. "Can you stop it?" Daniel shouted. The man looked up, eyes wide. "It's not stopping, it's overloading." Daniel froze. "Then we get out." They ran through the tunnels as alarms blared. Above, Mira saw the hill shake. The ground cracked open as light poured out like fire. "Move! Fall back!" she yelled. The explosion tore through the sky, a wave of blue fire that lit the world for miles. The alien ship above was caught in it, twisting and breaking apart. Hours later, silence. The reactor site was gone. Only smoke and ash remained. From the debris, Myra's team found movement. Daniel crawled out, covered in dust, coughing. Mira ran to him. "You're alive." He nodded weakly. "Reactor's gone, but we got one of their ships." She looked at the burning wreck in the distance. "Then maybe we just gave Earth its first win." Daniel stared at the sky, where alien lights flickered in retreat. "One win," he said softly. "Let's make sure it's not the last." But far above the clouds, inside a massive alien command ship, a voice spoke coldly. "Humans destroyed a vessel. They adapt faster than expected." Another voice replied, "Then adapt faster than them." And in the darkness of space, new ships began to move toward Earth. The real war was coming. The sky had turned quiet again, but the silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. The explosion from the reactor had stopped the alien assault in the north, at least for now. Smoke rose from the hills, and the remains of a fallen alien ship lay half buried in the dirt, a black and silver monster that had once floated like a god in the sky. Daniel stood near the wreck with Captain Mira and a small team of engineers. The air was still warm from the blast. "You think it's safe?" one of the soldiers asked. Mira shook her head. "Safe? No. But we can't waste the chance." They walked closer. The ship was massive, its surface smooth like glass, its shape impossible to describe. It didn't look built, it looked grown. The metal pulsed faintly with blue veins of light, like something alive was still breathing inside. Daniel touched the surface with the barrel of his rifle. The metal was cold, but it vibrated slightly. "It's not dead," he said quietly. Mira gave a short nod. "Then let's make it talk." They spent hours exploring the wreck. Inside, the corridors were twisted and burned. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing softly. Everything felt wrong. Too perfect, too quiet. Daniel found a small chamber that looked like a control room. The seats were molded into the floor, and thin cables ran into them, like veins feeding a body. "This isn't a ship," Mira murmured. "It's part machine, part living thing." "Biotech," Daniel said. "They don't build ships. They grow them." They found one alien body, half buried under melted panels. Its armor had cracked open, and for the first time, Daniel saw its face up close. Smooth gray skin, no mouth, only thin lines across the jaw. Its eyes, black and endless, were open, unblinking. He knelt and stared at it. "It doesn't look angry," he said. "It looks afraid." Mira frowned. "Afraid of what?" Before he could answer, one of the engineers called out, "Captain, we found something." They followed the voice to a deeper chamber. In the center was a glowing sphere, floating inside a frame of metal tendrils. The light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. "It's still active," the engineer said. "Some kind of data core." Mira turned to Daniel. "Think you can pull it out?" Daniel shrugged. "If it doesn't kill me." He reached for the core carefully, wrapping it in a thermal cloth. The sphere felt warm, almost alive, like it was aware of being touched. When they brought it back to the base, the scientists started working immediately. The power from the remaining generators was just enough to run the equipment. Hours turned into night. Everyone waited. Finally, the sphere flickered, and a hologram appeared, a map of the stars. Dozens of glowing points connected by thin lines. Mira leaned closer. "Is that Earth?" Daniel pointed. "There." A small blue dot blinked at the edge of the map. But it wasn't alone. Around it were other red dots, larger, moving toward it. "They're not from one planet," Mira whispered. "They're from hundreds." The hologram changed. Images appeared, flashes of other worlds, burned cities, empty skies. Then one image froze, a huge black structure floating above a dying planet. Its shape matched the alien ships. Daniel's chest tightened. "They've done this before. To others." One of the scientists, Dr. Wren, adjusted the display. "Wait, there's more. It's transmitting something." The hologram filled with symbols and strange sounds. "It's language," he said. "They were cataloging us." "Cataloging," Mira repeated. "Yes," Wren said. "Not to destroy. To study." The room went silent. Daniel stepped closer. "Study for what?" Wren hesitated. "Evolution. Adaptation. They're trying to learn how to be like us." Mira stared at him. "You mean?" "They don't understand fear," Wren said quietly. "They conquer, but they don't feel it. They came here to learn it. To understand what makes humans fight when there's no hope." The lights flickered. The sphere pulsed faster, as if hearing them. "Turn it off," Daniel said quickly. Wren reached for the controls, but it was too late. The sphere exploded with light, and the power grid surged. The radios screamed with static. Mira shouted, "Shut it down." Ren unplugged the cables, and the light died. Smoke filled the air. "What was that?" One of the soldiers coughed. Ren looked pale. "It sent a signal." Daniel froze. "To where?" Before anyone could answer, alarms went off. The radar operator yelled, "Multiple signatures incoming. From orbit." Myra's face went cold. "They found us." Outside, the night sky lit up again. Dozens of ships entered the atmosphere, glowing like falling stars. But this time, they didn't come alone. They dropped pods, hundreds of them, burning through the clouds. Daniel grabbed his rifle. "We just woke the hornet's nest." Mira shouted to the soldiers, "Positions! Get everyone underground." Explosions shook the ground. The sky turned blue with alien fire. In the chaos, Daniel looked at the sphere, still glowing faintly on the table. He could almost hear a whisper in his head, not words, but a feeling. It was fear. But not his. Theirs. Somewhere deep inside the alien network, the signal had reached its destination. And far away, in the dark of space, something ancient opened its eyes for the first time. The night sky was no longer dark. It burned blue with fire and falling light. The aliens were coming again, this time in numbers that made the ground itself tremble. Their ships moved like silent shadows across the clouds, and from their bellies, pods rained down toward Earth. Inside the underground base, alarms screamed. People ran through corridors carrying weapons, supplies, anything they could use. Mira stood at the command table, shouting orders. "Seal every tunnel entrance. Keep civilians in the lower levels. Soldiers on defense lines, now." Daniel loaded his rifle and grabbed extra ammo. He could feel the vibration under his boots, a low hum that grew stronger every second. The alien signal core still sat in the lab, covered under layers of metal, but Daniel could feel it inside his head, like it was whispering without words. He turned to Mira. "We can't hold this place. They'll burn it to the ground." Mira looked at him, jaw tight. "Then we make them pay for every inch of dirt." Above them, the first explosion hit. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling. A soldier shouted, "They're breaching the west tunnel." "Go," Mira ordered. "We'll hold the east." Daniel sprinted down the narrow hallways with a team of 6 soldiers. The air smelled like oil and smoke. When they reached the west tunnel, the door was glowing red, melting. A blue beam cut through it like butter. "Positions!" Daniel yelled. The door burst open. 3 alien soldiers entered, tall and armored, eyes glowing faintly blue. They moved fast, almost gliding. Daniel fired first. Bullets sparked off their shields, but one alien fell after a direct hit to the head. The others fired back, beams of light slicing through the air. One soldier screamed and fell. Daniel rolled behind a barricade, reloaded, and threw a grenade. The blast filled the tunnel with white smoke. He ran forward, firing through the haze. When the smoke cleared, the aliens were down, but so were 2 more humans. He knelt beside one. The man's eyes were open, but there was no breath left. Daniel clenched his jaw. "We hold," he whispered. "We always hold." Myra's voice came through the radio. "Daniel, they're surrounding us. We need that jammer online." Daniel turned to the last surviving engineer. "Get to the power room. Bring that jammer back up." The engineer nodded and ran. Daniel followed him halfway, but then, he froze. A strange sound filled the corridor. Not mechanical. Not human. He turned. The air shimmered, and out of nowhere, something appeared, an alien, but different. Taller. Sleeker. Its armor glowed white instead of blue. Its eyes were black, and when it looked at Daniel, he felt something inside his mind twist, like pressure pressing from the inside out. The creature didn't raise a weapon. It simply watched him. Daniel gripped his rifle tighter. "What are you waiting for?" Then, in his head, a voice spoke, not with words, but with thoughts. "You hear us." Daniel stumbled back. "What?" "You touched the core," the voice said. "Now you are part of the link." Daniel fired instinctively. The bullets slowed in midair, falling to the floor. The alien tilted its head. "Your kind is chaos," it said. "Yet you survive. We must understand why." "By killing us?" Daniel shouted. "By becoming you." The creature stepped closer. Daniel grabbed a fallen pipe and swung it, hitting the alien across the head. Sparks flew, and for a split second, Daniel saw its face glitch, like its form was unstable, half solid, half light. It hissed and vanished, simply gone, like smoke dissolving into air. Daniel breathed hard, heart pounding. He looked at his shaking hands. The whisper in his mind was still there, faint but real. He ran back to the command room. Mira saw his face and frowned. "What happened?" Daniel hesitated. "They can talk to me. Through that core. I think I can hear them." The room went silent. Mira stepped closer. "You're saying they connected with you?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Not just connected. They're afraid. They don't understand why humans don't break. Why we keep fighting when logic says stop." Mira stared at him. "Can you use it? The connection?" "I don't know," Daniel said. "But maybe I can turn it against them." Before she could answer, the base shook again, harder this time. A massive explosion hit somewhere above. The lights flickered. A soldier ran in, shouting, "The east wall's gone. We're surrounded." Mira grabbed her rifle. "Then we fight here." Outside, blue fire lit the night. Alien troops moved like a storm through the valley. Their ships hovered above, raining beams of energy into the earth. Inside, the resistance formed a last defense line. Bullets, smoke, shouting, chaos filled the air. Daniel fought side by side with Mira, firing until his gun clicked empty, then switching to another. Through the smoke, Daniel saw it again, the white armored alien, standing far away, watching. Not attacking. Watching him. He aimed his rifle, but before he could fire, the voice returned in his head. "Soon, you will see. We bring knowledge. You bring fear. Together, we bring evolution." Daniel shouted, "I'll show you evolution," and fired. The bullet hit the alien square in the chest, and it disappeared again. The battle raged for hours. By dawn, the base was half destroyed, but somehow, they still stood. The aliens retreated, their ships pulling back into the clouds. Mira looked at the sky, her face streaked with dirt and sweat. "They're not gone," she said. Daniel nodded. "No. They're planning something worse." He glanced at the metal case holding the alien core. The faint glow inside it pulsed again, like a heartbeat. Daniel whispered, "And maybe, it's already begun." Far above Earth, the alien fleet regrouped. The white armored being stood inside the largest ship, staring down at the planet. "Subject D-17, it said, voice cold. "Human Daniel Reeves. Connected. Observe him. Learn from him. He will show us what fear truly is." And with that, the next phase of the invasion began. The morning after the battle, smoke still covered the valley. The air tasted like metal, and the world felt quiet again, too quiet. The alien ships had pulled back into the clouds, leaving behind only wreckage and silence. Inside what was left of the base, Daniel sat alone near the burned-out entrance. His hands were shaking. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, not memories, but images that weren't his. Cities made of glass. Skies filled with alien ships. Voices whispering in a language he couldn't understand. He opened his eyes and rubbed his temples. The whispers were still there, faint but constant, like static inside his head. Captain Mira walked in, her uniform torn, face streaked with ash. "You didn't sleep," she said quietly. Daniel looked up. "Couldn't." They're in my head now. Mira sighed and sat beside him. Dr. Wren thinks the link from that core changed something in you. Maybe your brain's picking up their network signal. Daniel gave a bitter smile. So I'm a walking radio? More like a weapon, she said. If we can figure out how to use it. Before he could answer, Wren appeared, holding a tablet. You need to see this. They followed him to the lab, or what was left of it. The alien sphere was gone. They'd locked it inside a metal chamber after the last attack. But the monitors were alive again, showing strange readings. Wren pointed at the screen. We've been tracking faint energy spikes underground, hundreds of miles deep. They started right after the reactor explosion. Mira frowned. You think it's them? Wren nodded slowly. No. I think it's us. Daniel stepped closer. Us. Wren turned to him. You said the aliens came to study fear, human emotion, human will. What if they already knew something about us before they arrived? What if something down there was calling to them? The screen flickered. A new signal appeared, strong, rhythmic, like a heartbeat echoing from inside the earth. It's alive, Daniel whispered. Wren looked at him sharply. How do you know that? I can feel it, Daniel said quietly. It's part of the same network. Whatever they built their tech from, it's not just alien. It's connected to us somehow. Mira crossed her arms. You're saying we've got alien tech under our feet? Daniel nodded. Maybe not tech. Maybe something older. Before they could say more, the lights flickered again. Daniel froze. His vision blurred. Suddenly, he wasn't in the base anymore. He was somewhere else. A vast cavern stretched before him, glowing with blue crystals. Machines, huge, ancient, stood buried in stone. And in the center of it all was a sphere, larger than any ship, pulsing with the same blue light. A voice echoed inside his head. You are late. Daniel gasped, dropping to his knees. Mira rushed forward. Daniel, talk to me. He blinked, and the vision vanished. Sweat dripped down his face. They're not here to conquer, he said, breathing hard. They're here to wake it up. Mira stared. Wake what up? Daniel looked at her, eyes filled with something between fear and understanding. Whatever's sleeping under Earth. Something they call the origin. Wren looked horrified. You saw it. Daniel nodded. And it's not alien. It's human. Or it was. The room went silent. Mira finally spoke. Then we need to get there first. Wren hesitated. It's thousands of miles deep. No tunnel, no transport could survive that depth. Daniel shook his head. There's another way. Through them. Mira frowned. Through who? Daniel touched his temple. The link. If I can trace their signal, I can find the coordinates. But I'll need to stay connected longer. Wren looked alarmed. That's too dangerous. You could lose your mind. Daniel looked up at him. If we don't stop them, none of us will have minds left. Mira nodded slowly. Do it. We'll protect you. Wren sighed but began setting up the equipment again. They brought the alien core back out, connected wires, and activated the energy field. The glow filled the room, and Daniel stepped closer. He closed his eyes. The hum grew louder until it became a roar inside his head. He saw flashes, alien worlds, dead civilizations, and finally, the truth. Long ago, before humans existed, something from the stars crashed into Earth. A living machine, an ancient intelligence. It slept beneath the crust for millions of years, feeding on energy, waiting. The aliens weren't its creators. They were its children, built from its code, serving its will. And now, it was calling them home. Daniel gasped and ripped the cables from his head. The monitors exploded in sparks. Wren shouted. What did you see? Daniel looked at them, eyes wide. They're not invading us. They're coming to wake their god. Before anyone could respond, an alarm screamed again. One of the soldiers ran in, pale and shaking. "Captain, you need to see this." They rushed outside. Far in the distance, the sky was breaking open. Not clouds, but light, swirling like a storm made of energy. Lightning flashed down in columns, striking mountains, cities, oceans. The ground shook under their feet. Mira whispered, "What is that?" Daniel stared, voice low. "It's the signal. It's waking up." The wind howled, carrying strange sounds, not thunder, but whispers that weren't human. Mira turned to Daniel. "What do we do now?" He looked back at her, his expression calm but cold. "We go underground. We find the origin before they do." And somewhere, deep beneath the earth, something massive began to move, slow, ancient, and alive. The world was breaking apart. Across continents, storms of light ripped through the skies. Oceans boiled in places where blue energy struck. Mountains cracked like old bones. The alien signal was everywhere now, a deep, pulsing rhythm that seemed to come from beneath the ground. In the resistance base, what remained of it, Daniel, Mira, and Dr. Wren prepared for the last mission. They had one goal left: reach the underground caverns and stop whatever the aliens were trying to awaken, the origin. Daniel strapped on his gear. "We don't have much time. Once that thing wakes, the aliens won't need ships anymore." Mira nodded. "We move fast and quiet." Wren handed Daniel a small device. "This is a pulse detonator. If we can overload the Origin's energy core, it might destroy itself, or at least stop it from fully waking up." Daniel looked at the small machine in his hand. It was no bigger than a grenade, but it hummed with power. "If it doesn't kill us first." Wren tried to smile. "If it does, make it count." They descended into the tunnels, a mix of old mining shafts and alien-made passages. The deeper they went, the less Earth it felt like. The walls began to shimmer with blue light. Strange symbols glowed faintly in the rock, alive and pulsing like veins. Mira whispered, "It's everywhere down here. Like the planets bleeding." Daniel nodded, his eyes scanning the walls. He could feel the hum inside his chest, the same one he'd felt since he touched the alien core. After hours of walking, they reached a vast chamber. What they saw made them all stop. The Origin wasn't just a machine, it was enormous, like a city turned upside down beneath the earth. Towers of metal and bone reached into the ceiling, and at the center floated a sphere the size of a mountain, glowing bright blue. Lightning crawled across its surface. Wren whispered, "It's alive." Then the air shimmered, and the aliens appeared. Dozens of them. Armored. Waiting. At their center stood the white armored being, the one that had spoken to Daniel through the link. Its voice echoed inside all their heads. "You cannot stop what was written before your kind learned to stand." Daniel raised his rifle. "Maybe. But we can rewrite it." The alien tilted its head. "You are brave. But bravery is only another form of fear." Daniel smirked. "Then you should be terrified." He fired first. The resistance soldiers poured in from the tunnels behind him, weapons blazing. The cavern exploded into chaos. Blue light, gunfire, and screams filled the air. Mira tossed grenades that tore through alien shields. Wren worked on the detonator, connecting wires, hands shaking. "Keep them off me," he shouted. Daniel fought like a man possessed. Every time the aliens fired, he moved a step closer. Every bullet felt like defiance. And in his mind, he could still hear their voice, 100 of them, trying to overwhelm him. "You cannot win." He shouted back out loud, "We already have." One alien lunged at him. Daniel grabbed its weapon, twisted it, and used its own energy blade to cut it down. Another came from behind. Mira shot it clean through the head. But the white armored being stepped forward untouched, calm, almost curious. "You fight even when logic dies. This is why the Origin called to you." Daniel's breath caught. called to me. It chose you, the first human to hear the signal. You are its key. Daniel froze. Then maybe I'm also its end. Ren yelled from across the platform. Detonators ready. But it needs manual trigger. Mira looked at Daniel. If you go, you won't come back. Daniel smiled faintly. Story of humanity. He ran toward the core. Energy cracked around him, burning his armor. The white-armored alien reached out a hand. Stop. You don't understand what will awaken if it dies. Daniel kept running. You made one mistake, he shouted. You thought fear makes us weak. It makes us dangerous. He leapt onto the bridge leading to the Origin's heart. The light was blinding now. He could feel the voices, billions of them, alien, ancient, human, all screaming together. He pressed the detonator to the surface. This is for Earth, he whispered. Then he triggered it. The world went white. The explosion wasn't fire. It was sound, a wave that ripped through the ground and into the sky. The alien ships above Earth shattered like glass. Across the planet, blue light vanished, and the sky cleared for the first time in weeks. Hours later, when the dust settled, Mira opened her eyes. The cavern was gone, collapsed. Only ruins remained. Ren lay beside her, bruised but alive. Daniel, she whispered. There was no answer. Only silence. Then Ren pointed toward the center of the crater. Amid the ashes stood something, not human, not alien. A figure made of light and shadow. For a moment, it looked like Daniel, but its eyes glowed bright gold. It spoke softly, voice echoing everywhere. The Origin is gone, but its memory lives in me. Tell them humanity is free. Before Mira could speak, the figure vanished into a burst of golden light. Silence returned. Days later, the resistance rebuilt. The alien ships were gone, fleeing into space, broken and afraid. Across the stars, in distant systems, alien leaders whispered of Earth, a planet that faced the Origin and survived. They didn't call it a victory. They called it a warning. Because humans had done what no other species ever dared, they faced gods and made them bleed. And somewhere, beyond the stars, the white-armored alien still watched, its voice trembling for the first time. They brought war to Earth, it whispered, but humans brought fear to us.